Give me a break. What idiots.
Okay, now granted, there's 330 million people in the country, maybe a good 80 to 90 million aren't very bright.
Wow, Joe Concha, author of Come On Man, joins the show now. Joe, is that name-calling and insults a sign of desperation on the left?
It's a sign of stupidity, Todd, I think, to insult voters that you were trying to court just a few days before a midterm. I don't see how that wins you anything except a cheap applause line. And look, Michael Moore, speaking of intelligence, he's still saying that Democrats will pick up seats in the House and in the Senate, and that could happen, perhaps, if you believe in 1% of a chance happening, particularly as we're talking to as far as the House is concerned. So, yeah, I just don't get this strategy at the end. I think it's all a deflection because they can't talk about inflation, they can't talk about wages not keeping up with inflation, they can't talk about crime, they can't talk about gas prices, they can't talk about the border, they can't talk about education. So I guess it goes back to what you do in fourth grade. Name calling. Todd, Carly.
Yeah, so they can't talk about any of those things. What they are talking about are threats to democracy and abortion. And there are already op-eds being written saying that one of the things that Democrats really missed the mark on is getting the actual pulse of the people. So do you think that there was a major mistake made there? And maybe, it's difficult for Democrats to address the real issues because they're the party in power. But what do you think the headlines will be come November 9th if there is a red sweep?
Tone deaf. Right. That's the only two words that you'll see in most headlines as far as the strategy here, Carly, because to say that inflation doesn't exist or when the president tried to claim over the summer that we are at zero inflation, when you see candidates like Kathy Hochul in New York claiming that crime that is up by every statistic, right, not even, it's an opinion, that this is how I feel. When you look at the stats, crime is way up as far as murders, homicides, violent crime. And they say that, it's really a media creation. It's sensationalism. When they say the border is closed, when you see the video and you see the reports from Bill Maloogian every day showing that it is anything but, and when they say that, well, in education, there really isn't those woke kind of curriculums that are being pushed when they completely are and it's on paper, that's something that says we're not going to solve the problem because we don't even acknowledge that those problems exist. So, yeah, that's where the headlines will be, Carly, that the Democrats tried to claim things that didn't exist, did exist, and when they finally realize that, this is what voters are thinking, that life isn't an MSNBC program, then they were way too late as far as that's concerned.
From an MSNBC program to just a plain old NBC program, SNL, Saturday Night Live having some fun at the president's expense this weekend. Watch.
This Tuesday, our midterm elections will determine the fate of our democracy, and let's just say, big yikes. What's going on? I guess the Democrats' message just ain't getting through. Plus, I'm over here talking to people who don't exist. That don't help much. I'm trying like hell, I promise. I'm on the Peloton every morning, tempting fate.
That gallows humor for the Democrats on a liberal show like SNL. How much stock do you put in that in terms of Democrats' enthusiasm to get out their vote this election? I look at that, Joe, and I think, boy, they have no fire to get out there. They know their goose is cooked. What say you?
There's first of all, I can't get over how utterly horrible that imitation of Biden is. I mean, Dana Carvey. Right, George H.W. Bush, he nailed it. And obviously, Darrell Hammond with Bill Clinton, Will Ferrell even with George W. Bush. I don't know what I just saw, but if you told me that was Joe Biden, I wouldn't believe you. But to your point, Todd, yeah, it seems the enthusiasm is completely dampened. They see the writing on the wall, and they know now that the Biden presidency, without a House and a Senate, even when he had the House and Senate, didn't really get too much done. They know that this presidency is done, and then we're already talking about the 2024 campaign, particularly if Donald Trump announces he's running for president on November 14th, which is only, about a week from now. So, Saturday Night Live is a pretty good indicator of where Democrats are at this point in terms of enthusiasm.
If you watch the whole skit,